Another day, another allegedly dodgy case involving a lesser-known state agency. This time, News 24's investigations teams uncovered evidence that the Government Pension Administration Agency has issued millions to a company to facilitate its new headquarters in the capital. It's a near billion-rand deal, yet contractor Shula Developers has not secured the lease to step foot in the building anyway. Seems like a fake ghost deal. And so the question really is, are we being duped as taxpayers yet again? Well, our senior investigative journalist, Sikonathi Mantshantsha, joins us live on the line from Johannesburg now in our studios there. And Nkosi Kakhulu, thank you so much for your time. Sikonathi, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Nice to be back.
Let's begin with this. What is the Government Pensions Administration Agency meant to do? What type of, is it state sanctioned? How critical is its work? In my mind's eye, here administration, and this is an agency that ensures what? That the state employees get their pensions properly looked after and disbursed at the correct times, right?
That's absolutely correct, Graham. It does the admin functions of pensions administrations, and so it handles the assets of the government employees pension funds and other state related agencies in terms of the pensions. So the GEPF, Government Employees Pension Fund, has got about 3 trillion rands in assets that whose asset manager is the Public Investment Corporation, and the pension fund is the beneficial owner on behalf of the civil servants, current and former. We have retirees that get paid by the Government Employees Pension Fund. The paperwork and all the admin work will go through the Government Pensions Administration Agency, and it was formed in 2010. It was formed in 2010 and reports to the Finance Minister.
Although not something like a provincial government or national department or a ministry, if you will, Sikonathi, its work is still very critical. It's one of those cogs working in the background. And although most South Africans probably won't know a hell of a lot about it, like the Independent Development Trust that's been in the headlines so much recently about alleged corruption there, we ought to look closer at these agencies that deal with a hell of a lot of money. I hear pensions, and I think of quite a bit of money that it has to work with. How is an agency like this set up? Is it similar to the IDT example, where it has a specific board that responds to a minister, or do we know what the organogram looks like?
It's a strange one, Graham. The Government Pensions Administration Agency has no board. It's really not a company. It's an agency that was created by the Finance Minister and directly reports to the Finance Minister. So you just have a chief executive whose only reporting line is to the Finance Minister. It was established in 2010. And as you said, most people won't know about it until, if you are a government employee or former government employee, you are actually not receiving your pensions. Then you get to know who's not done their job properly. So it reports directly to the Finance Minister, and he appoints the chief executive, who then appoints the executive of the agency.
Okay, and then puts out this quite not small tender to essentially say, hey, we want new headquarters. We want them somewhere in the capital that's going to be near to all the lacquer amenities. It has to be close to public transport. It has to be accessible. It has to make financial sense according to the bid documents. And it then awards through the bid process to this potentially lesser known company called Shula Developers to essentially lease this very nice building in Pretoria. What do we know about Shula Developers, and what have you uncovered here, Sikonathi, now that we have the context of what agency we're working with?
There's very little that is publicly known about Shula Developers, other than that it won this tender, beating 3 other companies. and so the very fact that we don't know too much about the company in itself is not a problem. The problem is how the tender was awarded. So let's repeat again. It's to move the head office of the government pensions administration agency from its current head office at number 34 Hamilton Street in Brooklyn, Pretoria, to wherever they may find a new building suitable that is close to all the amenities that you just mentioned earlier. So this Shula, amongst others, there were 4 companies that were shortlisted. They tendered, and the government pensions administration agency just managed to choose the one company that actually has no property, in contravention of its own rules in the bid in the bid specifications, and that is Shula. It has got 2 companies. It has got 2 directors. That company, Lazarus Sikwichi, is the one who actually was mandated by Shula to do the negotiations with the government pensions administration agency.
Okay, so what is the property in question that Shula claims to have some control over here, that has, in its bid documents, basically said to the GPAA, this is where your next headquarters will be, and who really owns the building here?
That's the interesting part. The last part of that question in particular, Graham. So it's the Brooklyn Bridge Office Park that's owned by Attack Limited, a company listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. The building is within 10 kilometers of the current head office. The specifications wanted at least 22,000 square kilometers of office space and 710 parking bays. And comes Shula, and it says we have this Brooklyn office bridge that's available for you. It has got 25,000 square kilometers and 710 parking bays, and voila, it wins the contract. Except it turns out that one, Shula does not own the property and has no access to this building that it is leasing out. 2, it has not entered into any transaction with the current owners, Attack, to buy the property in order to be able to on-lease it to the GEPF. So we asked Attack, do you know anything about this? They said, absolutely not. And our building is really very well tenanted. No one is moving out. We're proceeding. I picked up who owns the building, one in the deeds office documents, and went through to Attack's website to check if indeed they own the building, and they confirmed it to me in emails that they own the building, and they confirmed to me that they are not selling it or not letting it to anyone I have mentioned.
Yes, and according to your reporting, if I have this correctly, Sikonaji, you actually had to ask Attack, this JSE listed company, 2 times to actually give a definitive answer as to whether or not Shula had ownership or a lease agreement, in place that gave them control of the building, right? So you had to be very particular about getting an answer, right?
I had to be quite particular and firm because they were trying to not get involved. They just confirmed, yes, we own the building, which I didn't need to ask them that because that was already in the title deeds. But I had to check with them. Are you negotiating? Are you selling this building? Have you ever negotiated with Shula or the GPAA to sell this building to them? I had to be firm with them because they were not trying to get involved, trying to hide or trying to avoid any controversy as they may have thought. So they confirmed to me that, one, they have never had any dealings with Shula, and therefore their building is totally unavailable. They have never had any dealings with the GPAA, which signed the agreement on the 7th of October 2024 and is meant to move its people less than 8 months from now into that new head office, for which it is paying 1 billion rand. But the story gets even better. the GPA then went ahead and contracted to another company, Dikiamo Architects, to design the interior of the building, and went on and paid them 26 million rands for architectural work. I don't know how it is possible that you could stand outside a building and decide what the offices are going to look like. Of course, in the first place, I don't know how the GPA's own executives decided that was the most suitable building without having gained access into that building.
Sikanati, I apologize for laughing in the midst of your answer there, because I actually just don't know how to react anymore, because I just don't know what to say anymore. How do they access a building? How are they getting all this money to do work if they can't even access the building, if another company says, no, we own that building? I just don't. It really boggles my mind.
Graham, the bid specification documents state that you have to provide proof of ownership of the said building, or the power of attorney, or if you have entered into a transaction on the said building, to provide a valid deed of sale, that agreement where the buyer and the seller have signed, and therefore there is a transaction ongoing to transfer ownership to the new owner. None of this was produced by Schuler, which won the contract miraculously. 3 other companies produced the required proof that they owned their own buildings, and of course could take the GPA there to go and view the buildings. There were 2 committees in the agency that were working in this, and they somehow just managed to choose the company that, one, does not own the building, does not have a sale agreement over the building, does not have access into the building. How they managed to choose that company, how they managed to decide this is the best possible office space. We have seen it. It's good. Yes, you can see the exterior of the building, but you had to get inside and count the parking bays and verify the plans in terms of the square meterage, the size of the building. None of that was possible, given the fact that the building is working as we speak, and it did then work as office space for big companies that had nothing to do with the GPA or Schuler.
Look, no News 24 investigations, expose, hard-hitting front page piece can go out without a right of reply. Any luck with Schuler developers in terms of them of getting comment from them?
I asked Schuler specific questions, Graham, including but not limited to: did you own the building at the time you were tendering it for use by the GPAA last year during August? Do you currently own the building now? And what date can you provide an attendance register? What date did you take the GPAA people to go see the building while you were bidding and decide if it was better than the others, amongst others? And their answer was Schuler complied with the requirements of the tender at the time. I had to get back, and this was coming through a lawyer, the law firm Cliff Decker Hofmeyer, because I asked my questions of Schuler, and Schuler decided to send the lawyer to answer the questions. And the lawyer, of course, was layered with threatening warnings about us not publishing assumptions and making allegations. But they, to answer the question, did you or did you not own the building? They said, we complied with the tender. I said, yes, I got that. Did you or did you not own the building at the time? And do you currently own the building now? Since it's more than a year since the deal would have been entered into. They said, we're not answering that question. There is litigation. One of the losing bidders has actually taken this process to court. So your questions will be answered in the litigation. And please do not publish anything until that case in court has been concluded. And that court case hasn't started, of course.
Sure. Who are the other companies? Do you know which company it was specifically who didn't win the bid that then turned to this private law firm to initiate the owner proceedings? Can you name who they are, Sikanat?
Yes, I definitely can. One is Talis Property Investments. The second one is SKG Africa. But most importantly, the Public Investment Corporation itself had tendered its own building within the area and offered to house its client, the Government Pensions Administration's agency, and it fell short of the requirements. So let's repeat this. The GPAA administers the assets on behalf of the government employees' pension funds. The Public Investment Corporation does the asset management and investment functions for the government employees' pension funds. So the GEPF, therefore, pays fees, asset management fees to the PIC on the same assets that it pays administration fees to the Government Pensions Administration Agency.
So you would think, in other words, Sikanati, is what you're telling me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it would have been a no-brainer for the PIC to be the administrator of assisting with finding a new building to be able to operate this particular administration agency out of.
Absolutely, Graham. It knows the size of the assets, the administration that's required, the size of the staff. The PIC itself was tendering its own head office right next to the highway, which is more than suitable for the occasion. But all in all, there was a cross opportunity here. Now that you're charging us fees, your asset management fees, can we look at a preferable or a favorable rental agreement since we're all working on the same thing? So you are my client and I am your client on our respective roles. But the PIC did not cut it as far as the Government Pension Administration Agency was concerned. And then it went on and awarded the deal R1 billion worth of lease over 10 years to a company that doesn't have a property to lease out.
Sorry, I'm laughing. I don't know how now else to react because I'm absolutely astonished. I mean, it's very similar, Sikanati, to the story of, the 800 million rand oxygen tender administered by the IDT and the ghost company allegations there. And this is a lot of money. Even in this particular lease story, we're talking about something that's even more than 800 million rand, which would have, provided bulk oxygen supply to hospitals up and down the country, some 60 facilities. Yeah, we're just talking about one lease for one building for 10 years, right? So in other words, at the end of the state agency won't even get ownership of the said property. So,
no, it's just renting.
It would just rent, which that also doesn't make any sense to me. Surely they could have taken the money and just built a facility or bought another facility.
Not necessarily, Graham. If your business is administering pensions, you have no business really owning property. That's perhaps for property professionals. But if what I have said to you so far about this tender, about this lease agreement makes you laugh, R1 billion over 10 years, then this should make you cry. Because not only did the Government Pensions Administration Agency lease a fictitious building, a non-existent lease, because that's what it is. If I sell you a building that I don't have and will not have, and you're happy to pay me, to sign the agreement and pay me the rent to that, then they went on and said, all right, now that Shula, you have this contract, we'll give you another 240 million rands for you to refurbish and divide that building inside and ready it for occupation. Let's repeat this. Schuler does not own the property, has no access to the property, yet it has been given a new tender without a tender process in contravention of the law for 240 million rands to design, to divide the offices and do building work inside this building to which it will have no access, and then got paid an upfront 36 million rands for its troubles.
Okay.
I can see you are silenced.
I am silenced 100% because now I don't know to laugh or to cry, Sukanati. When is the lease meant to begin? Let's just quickly finish up with our timelines here and figure out how much of this money has already been, perhaps lost or retained or whatever the case. When is the lease meant to begin? When was this refurbishment work meant to get underway and also end? And in terms of that cash, and it's a threefold question, if you will, do you know if it's been spent or not, or have you had any assurances to say, Schuler developers or one of these other contractors that are going to do the refurbishments have given you an assurance to say we're not going to spend the money?
So on the 7th of October 2024, the lease agreement was signed. Let's repeat, for 1 billion rands over 10 years to move the head office. The lease agreement said we will move in 18 months from the date of signature. That 18 months starts in March 2026. So in March 2026, the GPAA is liable to pay rent on that lease and is liable to move its staff from their current office to that new office. So they will pay rent. That's one. Two, you ask how much has been paid. Once that lease agreement was signed, Schuler agreed to receive another contract worth 240 million rands. Upfront on that contract, they received 36 million rands to start the renovation work on that building. So 36 million rands has been paid on that. Before the 36 million rands, another company, Diacamo Architects, was also paid upfront 26 million rands, which makes it 62 million rands that now has been paid out to ready this building for the GPAA to move in. So 62 million rands gone, no work done whatsoever on both contracts, because neither could the architects gain access to the building to be able to plan the new office space, and the other guys that are now going to build the partitions inside have been paid 36 million rands and have no access to the building. So 62 million rands is gone, and they have already started requesting extensions and delays to the project. You asked when was this renovation work supposed to start? It was to start on the 7th of February 2025. It didn't. They requested an extension. The second phase of that work was to start during April 2025, where they would be paid another 71 million rands. The work has not started. They have not yet been paid that 71 million rands. Now, I must tell you this. They have assured Schuler has assured in a letter the GPAA saying, listen, even though we request an extension, rest assured your 36 million rands deposit is safe in our bank account. We have not touched the money, which was for renovations.
Okay. Well, look, we'll just have to take that word on the face of it from a journalistic perspective, Sukanati. In the meantime, after everything, a certain former or suspended CEO at the IDT, Ms. Toboho Malaka, she recently went famous for the video that went viral from Daily Maverick of the attempted bribe scenario. Here we have this particular agency that we've been talking about, and although it doesn't have a board, the buck is meant to stop with its chief executive, Kerebone Madihe. Any contact from her particular office?
We, of course, gave them the right of reply, Graham, and generously gave them time to answer our questions. Two different sets of questions. First one about how that that bid was adjudicated without having gained access to the building. They declined to answer the question, saying there is an investigation into the processes because the finance minister has requested an investigation into this. Therefore, we will not be able to answer your questions, Mr. Manchanja. Basic questions such as who from the GPAA actually went inside the building and looked at it and decided it met the standards required. Who from the GPAA actually decided this building was better than the other two, and on what date did they go see this building? Please give me an attendance register. They didn't answer those questions, said there's an investigation. And when we asked them separately about the payments, they said everything was above board, we can assure you, except it's not so easy.
Sure. Any, there's, okay, so now Cliff Decker Hofmeer's got a private litigation process brought on by one of the failed bidders. You've just, relayed to us now that the finance ministry is also, wants its own probe. Has that government-sanctioned investigation got underway already, Sikonati? And I can imagine that until both of these processes are completely exhausted, this particular agency won't be able to move to another headquarters until then, right?
It definitely won't move. Cliff Decker represents Shula in the litigation. It is the winning bidder. There is now a challenge to the tender from one of the losing bidders. So that matter has not yet been heard in court. There is an ongoing exchange of papers, and the readers of News 24 can look forward to a few more articles on this and what will happen. The investigation requested by the finance minister has not started, and we will again in our next story tell the readers when that investigation was requested by an internal audit report. So how long the finance minister has had an opportunity to do something about it and has done so far absolutely nothing about it. So there are two cases, a court case by a losing bidder which wants to stop the process, an investigation requested by the finance minister after the internal audit department of the GPAA said we are not allowing this deal to go through as is. But in the meantime, there is a head office that must be ready for occupation starting in March, which will not be ready because that building is not at all available.
Inkosi kakhulu Sikonati Manchanja. Ghost contract, no building, but government pensions agency paid 270 million rand for lavish refurbishment is the latest offering in this rather intriguing saga. Yet another week, yet another allegedly dodgy government, lease procurement deal. Do you laugh? Do you cry? Sikonati, how do you react? Thanks for your time.
Cry with me, South Africa.